Hi everyone, welcome to Tech Talk, a technology show where Amit and me, Rinat, we talk about various technology-related topics. We usually choose the topics that are popular in current days and also the topics that our audience have told us that they would like to understand more. Today's topic is a very interesting one. Today we're going to talk about UAV, which is unmanned aerial vehicles. We also know a common type of UAV, which are drones. Although this is a physical technology, a physical item that you go that goes and flies in different areas. It still has a lot of technology, IT related technology that goes inside it. You know, the control that we have, how to control it in larger distance, the GPS tracking, etc. So there are many technology or IT related um, uh, topics that goes into building or making a UAV work. So yeah, I think it's a good topic to talk about. Thank you very much, Amit, for coming up with it. As we are both mechanical engineers, we have some understanding on the mechanics of it as well, so we can talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, it's a very exciting topic to talk about. So yeah, Amit, what's your thoughts on UAV?
So UAV is actually quite interesting, Renat, because and especially drones, because prior to people having access to drones that they can simply buy and start using for capturing a lot of videos from different angles, drones have been used by the commercial industry and especially military, where they have used it for reconnaissance missions and surveillance missions, and even attack missions. So yes, and when we talk about unmanned aerial vehicle, it's basically an aircraft or something similar to an aircraft that is operated without a pilot. In this case, it's a remote pilot. So if you have a remote pilot who is operating the drone, then that becomes an unmanned aerial vehicle. And the reason I selected this topic is because we keep seeing a lot of drones being flown around these days. A lot of people are using those drones for hobby, etc., etc. But I think it's a very important technology, and we need to understand the various applications behind it. And as you rightly said, there are other technologies that empower this physical tool. So we can talk a bit about that as well.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, mm, one of the fascinating areas of talking about UAV or even or drones is that I mean, obviously, you know, one drone and how to control it, there is a lot of technology there already. But one of the things that really fascinates me is when you are controlling multiple drones. So, and how multiple drones talk to each other. So this is a new kind of area of technology where multiple sort of automated agents like the drones, how can they be in sync with each other? So there could be tasks or objectives that, for example, you know, if in the event of a fire, um, multiple drone can drop buckets of water, and but they have to be in sync with each other. They have to know where all the, you know, just one drone isn't going to do it because, you know, you need continuous supply of water and things like that. So there is a need for multiple drones working together, and they all need to know where all the remaining other drones are. Otherwise, they're going to run into each other because they have to go back and forth in a, you know, very quick manner. And for that, they need to know where all the rest of them are, and you know, where the objective is and what they need to do. So synchronized movement is also one of the one of the advanced things to sort of things that the scientists are working on drones right now. There have been a few TED Talks as well, which I've seen where a number of drones working together and sort of creating, cool, with the LED lights carrying, creating cool shapes and stuff on the sky. It's even more exciting than watching fireworks. I mean, thousands of drones are creating various sort of artworks in the sky with LED lights, etc. So yeah, this is a very interesting topic, and this part of where you have multiple drones networking with each other is also very interesting to me.
Yes, absolutely. I think yes, I think I've seen that TED Talk as well, and it's I mean synchronized drone. Yes, it's a good concept, and I think because given your RPA background, you might be already familiar with robots being controlled by a single tenant or something, because you can have multiple robots doing different things, but they are all controlled by a central system. So similarly, I'm guessing the same thing would apply to the robots as the drones as well, where they are being controlled by a central system, but they are all in sync and they are all sharing information in real time, so that they don't collide with each other. So yes, it is kind of interesting, but I think we need to first start in the basics of what a drone actually is and why it's needed. What are the applications? Because yeah, people use it to record videos and take pictures, but are there any other benefits to a drone, and why is it so important? And what actually drives a drone? How does it fly, etc., etc. I think those are some of the things that we need to think about, because and that's one of the reasons I selected this topic, because when we talk about drones, people just think about the toys that you can buy from a DJI Mavic, which everyone is familiar. So normally you go and buy that, but no one is familiar with other drones.
Yes, yes. So yeah, there are many use cases of our drones. Yeah, I mean, obviously the popular ones are the ones we know about, taking commercial videos and things like that. But as I've mentioned, one of them, in a situation of fire, the fire suppression is one of them. There are many others, and we're going to look at all of them. But yeah, let's start with the actual the mechanics of drone, or how or UAV in broader spectrum, to see what are the main components of it, and then we can look at the use cases, and then we can look at what is coming in future, etc.
Yeah, I
So
think
in terms of the main components, yeah, go on, Amit.
so. I think in terms of the main components, you always think about what you see first, and what you see is the body of a drone. And people are familiar with two designs. One is a typical aircraft design, or a glider design. Very lightweight, no cockpit because there is no pilot, and the other is the vertical takeoff and landing design, where drones have propellers vertically stacked, four propellers vertically stacked in the typical design, and then they are used to lift the aircraft and move it forward. So I think that's the first thing. The two different types of body types. One is vertical takeoff and landing, and one is the normal aircraft. So those two designs. So that's what you see first, and then almost all drones have a camera to see, for the pilot to see what the drone is seeing, or where the drone is located and what's located beneath the drone. So you all have a camera. Then you need some sensors. So the sensors could be anything from a gyroscope to stabilize the aircraft, or the camera, so that the camera doesn't move when the drone is flying and the image is very stable. Then you have some sensors to detect the wind speed, the pressure, the humidity, and maybe a compass, a GPS. So those types of some sensors, even thermal sensors to detect heat signatures. So that's there. The camera can also be used to take photographs for ground, uh, or ground images, etc. So you have the sensors, you have the body, and you have the camera. The next thing is you need the computer to do all the processing. So normally the computer is a onboard system, which is it could be a Raspberry Pi or a processor on a motherboard. But normally people go for a very simple thing, a system on a chip or SoC or a whole computer on a board like a Raspberry Pi. So you don't need any other external components. Everything is on a board. So that's the main thing, which is the flight control system. So it will tell the drone how to fly, when to fly based on all the measurements it's taking real time. And there are two types of measurements: external measurements and internal measurements. External measurements is the things that I can measure which are around me, surrounding me, or on outside the aircraft, just on the body. And internal measurements is how the thermals are managed, etc., etc. So once you have that, then you also need a battery. So because you need to power the circuits and all the other things. If it's a big drone which has to travel, say, hundreds of kilometers, not thousands, but maybe hundreds of kilometers, it needs a different kind of a supply. So normally you have a lithium polymer batteries, not a lithium ion batteries. And apart from that, you can have a normal fuel based hydrogen fuel cells, etc., as a battery to power the drone. And the last thing is the radio component. The radio component is to communicate all the data with the pilot. Without that, the pilot cannot send instructions to the drone, and drone cannot send live view to the pilot for their controller. So all these
Yeah.
things, because a drone itself is meaningless without the remote control, because drones have to be piloted remotely. So without the remote
Yeah.
control, the unmanned aerial vehicle is meaningless. So it has to be an unmanned aerial system, aircraft system, which has the remote and the drone together with the power source, camera, sensors, everything. And and we need to consider two different scenarios. One is the pilot can see the drone, so it's in the line of sight, and the other is the pilot cannot see the drone. It is outside the line of sight. It's about tens of kilometers or behind a hill, and they still need to operate. So you have to consider all these things. So these are the basic components for a drone, which are actually important for anyone to start uh, building them, because you can buy any of these from the market. If you are designing the simple drone that you can see currently, you can design your own. You can buy a simple computer like a Raspberry Pi, put it on a board, get the small motors, buy some fans, and just power them. And all you need is a software, the flight control software, and that software is all open source these days. So you can download it free of cost, modify it
Mhm.
based on your design, and then start using your own drone.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, building your own drone is a very cool project to do. I mean, many people have done it, and there are many videos of in YouTube, tracking the people who has done it. You could buy all of the separate components, and the software is available. In different versions of software is very readily available on the internet for free. And yeah, I mean, yeah, creating a drone is a very cool project to do. And yeah, you could actually think about different designs. I mean, right now we have this popular design of four fans or propellers, as you put it, in the four sides. But you might come up with different designs which are more efficient, or it requires less amount of fans to do the same kind of movement, etc. So yeah, definitely it's a cool project to do. And yeah, I mean, audiences, if you guys are interested, yeah, go for it. Build a drone for yourself. Use Raspberry Pi. I mean, I've had Raspberry Pis to do separate other projects, and it is very easy to use. It has all the required connections and everything. It is easier than using another different kind of chip. So, and a lot of softwares are made for Raspberry Pi. You just have to load it and ready to go. So that's one of the, if you didn't want to do a lot of work with the software side of things, Raspberry Pi is probably the best bet to go with. Um, Yeah, I mean,
The other bit I wanted to say, because you talked about the design, and that design is actually quite important, because you said yes, people can come up with better designs, more efficient designs. And if you look at
mhm,
the propeller design, it's actually quite inefficient because you waste a lot of power moving the fans. If
mm,
you look at a wing-based design, the wing-based design that you have in most aircrafts has been the most popular and successful ones for long
mm.
distance flights, because once you take off, then you can almost glide in the air as long as there is some wind. So all you need is some propeller to power you, and it's a very simple basic design if you use lightweight materials. With the motor, of course, you tend to burn the energy quite quickly from the batteries. So people are looking at wing-based designs, which are quite popular. So yes, drones as a whole is a quite a unique tool to do a lot of things. And when we talk about drones, it's it's not just about like taking images just for the sake of taking. I mean, a lot of hobbyists, YouTube vloggers, and everyone, they take videos using drones. Drones have now been used in Hollywood films, Bollywood films, YouTube films, shorts films, etc. Because it's very easy, lightweight. People can just take it and they can see what's happening. It has got a high definition camera, so it records a good quality video. And you can go close, you can go far, you can go on the top, you can glide, you can do lots of different angles without using a very big rig or a setup, camera setup. But the traditional applications everyone is aware of. But can you think of any other applications of drone, Renat?
Well, to be honest, there are many other sort of commercial applications. I mean, obviously, Amazon is trying out to deliver packages with drones. There could be food delivery with drones. All these other. So if you require, I mean, the benefit of drones is that it's a physical object, and it's being controlled by computer. So you could automate the activities of drones, and anything anywhere you need to move things physically. I think you can create a 3D printer. So you can create a drone-based 3D printer. I don't think this has happened before, but it's possible. So if you wanted to, 3D printer, what it does is obviously it melts the object and then puts it in everywhere. But a drone could be putting the idea. Say, for example, you want to build an accommodation, a house. All the individual pieces needs to be put in the bricks and stuff. A drone, like 10 different, 100 drones can be doing all of these works, and then it could be building the house quicker than than even a 3D printer. So there are many ways of using the drones. I mean, obviously we talked about two of the important ones. Fire suppression. I mean, when if there's an event of fire, we can get some help there. Or in one of the other places, which obviously unfortunately being used, is in wars. The technologically advanced countries are sending drones to well for to gather information as well as um, actual activities of war, which yeah, which is quite sad because obviously the the countries who are not technologically advanced like that, they are having to have humans risk their lives, while the countries who are using drones are just using drones, and no human life is being risked. So yeah, it's I mean, I don't personally support any activity to do with war, but yeah, drones are being used in this way as well.
I mean, yes, war, yes, that's a very yeah. I mean, it's a sad use case, but
Hmm.
military technologies are not just used for wars, but they are also used for many other purposes. Because you can use drones for surveillance. So suppose you want to monitor someone from a very high distance. It could be because some terrorist activities going on. So the drones
Hmm.
are very helpful there. So that's surveillance. Then you have a reconnaissance mission. So before you send human beings to do something, say on a mission, So you can use a drone to survey the area before, get the information to the humans, and then the humans can then go to that area because they now have all the visual information about that place. So that's a reconnaissance. Then you also have the astro imaging, or not astro imaging, earth imaging. So you can fly a drone over an agricultural field. Say you want to monitor wine farms, huge wine farms, and I don't want to go myself, go there physically and see all the things. So what I do is I take the drone, I go through all the farms, take videos, send it back, and then I view, okay, where was this taken, what was the time, and how what is the how are my crops looking. So that's another application which is actually quite useful because farmers now don't have to go to big huge farms physically. They can just send a drone, take pictures, videos, and then they can view it on the computers and then decide whether they have to actually go to fix something or not. The other use case is deliveries, Amazon deliveries. Very true, very true, because it's not just for Amazon deliveries, it could be delivery for anything, pick up, drop, anything. I saw a video where they were using drones to deliver blood to remote hospitals.
Hmm.
So suppose you are in a location where they can't send a aircraft because it doesn't have a runway. See, the challenge with most of the big aircrafts is they also require runways to take off and
Mm-hmm.
land. But with a drone, it can just land in a very limited small space, even on people's roofs. So
Mm-hmm.
with drone now, so suppose you have a shortage. So in UK you have small GPs and then you have big hospitals, and in a lot of other countries you have a small clinic or a local hospital, and then you have a central or a big hospital in a city. And sometimes the city and the village is far away, and you cannot send all the supplies quickly. And if you don't have roads, and if you have a big river, or if you have some other issues, then sending those supplies becomes very difficult. So suppose you can send blood frozen in a drone and drop it over a clinic. The clinic can then use that blood to provide blood to an injured person. So that's a very useful use case, and it can also be used for search and rescue missions where people want to see what the damage is, then what tools to take before they actually go. So those kind of delivery, this is again quite important. And then of course I talked about filmmaking. So you can take drones, shoot them from various angles, no need of rigs. And drones can then people are using now for drone racing. So instead of racing in a car, now people race drones. So they have a typical route which they have to fly through in a certain number, in a few seconds or whatever. And yeah, whoever wins takes the prize. So drone races are now quite popular, and drone racing is actually combined with VR headsets, because if you want to see what the drone is seeing quickly, you
Yeah.
normally wear a VR headset so that you can see real time and you can navigate as if you are a pilot sitting inside the
Yes.
drone. So so these are so many cool applications that I mean, I have read about it, I've seen videos, and I feel that that's why I thought of like sharing it with people and discussing this topic.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, when you combine a number of technology, that becomes so much more powerful. Yes, I mean, as you said, in drones, you can have cameras which are 360 cameras, so it's looking at the whole surrounding in one go. And then, if the whole information is passed on to the base computer in real time, you actually can be as if you are present inside that drone. And that is so much powerful because even though it's unmanned, you would get all the information as if it was a manned. It's not unmanned aerial vehicle anymore. It's just, it's a manned vehicle, and all the information and all the control, based on reaction of what you're seeing, everything will be done the same way. But yeah, as you said, the use cases are limitless because there, anything anywhere you need to do any kind of physical movement can be done with now drones, farming and all kinds of anything that needs physical movement. And drones sort of opens another spectrum of abilities because you could create robots which does human tasks, even farming and all the other kinds, various kinds of robots. But robots are not able to fly, but drones are. And drones, if you can fly, then you don't have to. You can just fly on like a human height level and do the things that robot would do without having to fly. But if you want, you can then fly and do many other extra activities that you didn't even think about. So yeah, I mean, for example, film producers didn't think about drone, the need for drone. But when it was discovered, sort of when drone was created, it was seen that okay, this would help create so many good footages, and then okay, then film producers started using it. So yeah, many use cases were came after once the technology enabled, added the camera and things like that. So yeah, it's very interesting use cases, and I think there are many other use cases that we didn't even think about. And another degree of use cases will open up when it would become commonplace to use more than one drone in one go. Right now, you can easily go to the shops and buy one drone and control that drone and get feedback and videos from that drone. But when it would become a commonplace, I mean, if it becomes a common situation that you go to the shops and buy 10 drones with one remote control, and all the software is already included, where 10 drones will do one, go and do one set of work and things like that. If that becomes commonplace, there would be more things we'll discover that it can do, because a lot of the task can easily be broken down into smaller tasks. I mean, if you think about, oh, I need to move this big, you know, big piece of I don't know, a large set of bricks, or build a house, and but they have smaller units like bricks and things like that. So a drone can lift and carry a brick. It can't, initially you might think it can't build a house, but if you break it down into smaller pieces of task, and even the cement that goes in between the bricks, drones can do that. I mean, it's not impossible at all. And if you break down any tasks, any big task that you currently think, oh, this is not possible with a drone, but if you break it down into smaller pieces of work and have 10 drones, one by one doing something, it will get done. So and you think the things that require strength, for example, if you wanted to sort of I don't know, sort of push something down to create something, for example, um when you are I keep coming back to building a house, because I don't know, it's just I've seen a video where
I'll give some other example. I mean, I think you have seen this example. I mean, you talked about extinguishing fire using water. So you splash a big amount of water. A lot of drones, they carry the water and they
Mhm,
splash it over a
mhm,
building or something that's on fire. Similarly, you can drop a
mhm,
net. So the edges of the net, if it's a big net which humans have to hold and then navigate through an area, what they can do is they can lie the whole net flat on a big piece of land, and the drones lift the net and they take it forward and they drop it over an object,
mhm,
animal, or whatever, and they can drop a net like that. So yes, I mean, the technical term for that is drone workers. So you have now
mhm,
these workers. So you have worker robots, so robots who are doing work for you, and similarly there are drones that are doing work for you. But they are working together like a family of ants. So ants
mhm,
are very tiny, but their ability to carry weight with respect to their body weight is incredible. And ants can carry huge amounts of weight, and they can build and move big objects, uh, even thousands of times bigger than their own size. And they are very resourceful that way. So imagine if we can program a drone to now do the same thing as an ant, but not at the land level, but at a height, and then fly to a place and then do those things. So it's incredible. I mean, imagine if a drone is now sitting with someone in the village, they can do so many incredible things. They can monitor their crops, they can send letters, they can send supplies to the city, they can record videos, they can check what's happening in the nearby town. They can have a speaker attached to a drone, and they can send the drone to a nearby village, and they can announce it on the mic, and that speaker will then broadcast whatever they are saying. So I mean, so many interesting applications, and I think the remote applications are even much more better than the applications that we find in cities. So suppose you want to go to a forest and you want to map the entire forest with a drone, small in size, with a laser scanner or something like that. You can easily quickly scan the entire topography of a forest, because you can now fly so quickly. Suppose
Yes.
there is a forest fire. I was actually looking at this application. Suppose there is a forest fire which has razed the ground completely, everything is burned down, and now you want to see how to plant the trees, where to plant the next trees, and see what has been burned. You can just send the drone flying over the whole forest, and then you can
Mhm.
capture the image, and then study, okay, where to plant. You can actually drop seeds from the drone
Yes,
at,
yes,
at precise spots,
that is being
so you
done.
don't have to send a human to drop those seeds, especially when you have covered something like a forest where it would take so much time and effort to take a seed and drop it, say in thousands of kilometers. With a drone, with a swarm of drones and these drone
Hmm.
workers, you can quickly send all the seeds, drop it over the bed of the forest, and let nature do its work.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that is the part where the use case becomes so much powerful when you have when it is dangerous for humans to go and you have multiple drones doing achieving one task. Yeah,
But
so that's
Rinath, I think what we need to be aware of is the limit of their size and the limit of their batteries. Because of the limitation of the batteries, most drones don't last for more than 10 to 20 minutes. And if it's a bigger size drone which flies, mostly it's in a glider shape, and they use a specific type of fuel to power them. So yeah, I mean, batteries are a big limitation. And again, whoever cracks the battery cracks the next he they are the next billionaire or trillionaire. So battery is, I think, a huge limitation for a drone right now.
yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, I have seen some drones which I thought was a bit counterintuitive to have. I've seen some drones which actually are wired. So so
Okay.
they have very long wires connected to them. These are where you being used for farming, where there is a base station where it's connected to the wall. But the benefit of being able to fly and do various things unmanned is so much that they still opted for wiring to supply the power, and the drone will go to the farmland around it and will bring the ripe fruits that that it can find with its camera image recognition technology. It will find any fruits that are ripe and then bring it back to the base station. So um, yeah, I mean, so just the ability to fly and go to any places is so much helpful that the humans have created technology where it is even wired, so it didn't even need to fly to completely too far away, but it can still add so much value, but just being able to fly to any place in a given piece of land. So yeah, I mean, all the different benefits of drones are to be looked at separately and see. You can probably leverage each of the benefits in by giving up some other benefits, but you can still make you can still get enough output to be able to want to use drones.
Yes, yes. I think, yeah, that's a right thing to say, because if you have no limitation of power, then the applications are limitless. Because um, I mean, imagine what all things you can do if you have unlimited supply of electricity, powering your drones, because that is incredible. And I mean, when we talk about drones, And we talked about VR headsets that are used in tandem with drones, but and drones are autonomous as well. So some drones, as you rightly said, can be autonomous. They can be programmed to work autonomously. Plus, we can use cloud computing. So instead of sending all the data, whatever they are capturing, to a central server, or your own server, you can send it to the cloud, say Amazon web server or someplace like that. And the advantage is then you can use that to quickly share that information with anyone in anywhere in the world. So you have now combined so many topics, so technologies. So you have combined cloud technology, you have combined autonomous flying, you have combined VR headset, you have combined radio technology for communications, and you have combined a Raspberry Pi, which is nothing but a computer on a board. So it's incredible how much you can do with human ingenuity when we want to solve a problem.
Yes, yes, and yeah, the more combination that happens, the better the solution becomes. And yeah, it is exciting. What are the next big things that are going to get combined and increase? I mean, usually the abilities become exponential when you can combine two different technologies.
And that's
But
how humans have come up with various things, right? So we know of something and then we built on top of that, and then we know of something else, we built on top of that, and then we decide to combine those two together and build something else with that. It's
yes,
it's
yes.
like Lego blocks. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
so yeah, I mean that's the drones, and I think it was quite useful for our audience who have been listening to us regularly, to understand how a drone operates, what are the different applications and implications, and other things.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting topic, and it is one of the topics which has a lot of room for improvement from design perspective as well as many other use cases. Yeah, we've discussed many use cases today, but there could be so many other use cases that you haven't we haven't even thought of. But if our or audience look at their life and the things they've seen, and they can come up with newer use cases which will take the drone usage even forward. And yeah, remember, drone is not necessarily just the four fans taking off. Anything that is unmanned, and a drone also has an elaboration. I don't remember what it is, but yeah. So it's battery, as long as it's like battery operated, not unmanned vehicle. It could be drones. You could say drone and mean a submarine which is not manned, which is automated, or even not flying but just moving on land. For example, the spacecraft that we sent in on Mars, that's called a drone, even though it's on Mars land, it's moving about. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting times, interesting things are happening, and drones are making a lot of it possible.
Yeah, and interesting you said about the NASA, because the current mission from NASA, Perseverance, has a drone on board, and this is
Mhm.
the first time a human aerial vehicle will fly on a foreign planet
Yeah.
in an atmosphere that is less dense than ours. So it will be quite interesting to see how the aircraft takes off and lands, and then what it sees when it flies. Because see, if you send a robot which is going on the land, you can only go as far, and because you have so many obstacles of height, size of different stones, mud, different
Mhm.
density, etc. But if you have a drone that can fly, you can cover a lot of area very quickly, and you can surveil a lot of area very quickly. So I think that is a very absolute of a I mean killer of a application. But I think before we end, I completely forgot, but we have to tell people that now there are regulations where you need to get a drone license, a pilot license, because without that you cannot fly a drone in your area. So recently what has happened is people have tried to use drones near aircrafts to capture their aircrafts near airports to capture aircrafts taking off and landing. And that what that has caused is that has caused the drones to actually have collisions with the aircrafts, getting stuck inside their engines.
Oh,
and
wow.
uh, and because of that, they have now put very strict laws of the airspace in which you can operate drones. Plus, remember, drones have cameras, so cameras are capturing video, and you cannot capture someone else's video without their permission. So there are data privacy
Mm-hmm.
implications as well, because if you go outside and you start recording someone in the park, well, that's illegal. You have to take permission from them, and they can actually file a complaint against you, and cops can take action against you because you are actually filming them illegally. So so there are legal requirements now these days because they invade certain privacies. And you also need to be able to operate the drone capable so that you don't crash it somewhere, or you don't harm someone, or you don't disturb someone. So there are now pilot license requirements in various countries. There is a pilot license required in the UK, and then there is a pilot license required in the US. I'm not sure about other countries, but I'm pretty sure that they will also introduce those laws as drones become more and more popular in their countries.
Yes, absolutely. That is an important piece of information. Yeah, I mean, it can be a serious um, hindrance on privacy because yeah, you could even you could have like if someone wants to be a little bit nosier than they should, drones will certainly allow them to do that, and obviously that could become very quickly illegal. I mean, people with not so good intentions could cause harm by collecting information that they shouldn't really be collecting. For example, if you know if you have a drone flying just outside your window and seeing all the insides of the house and what valuables you have and things like that, and then a burglar might be using that information to decide which houses to burgle or not. I mean, there could be many things, and what kind of security system are there, etc. So there could be many things. Yeah, and to be honest, with any new technology, there is always a question of privacy, isn't there? Like that would, and then it needs to be controlled. Absolutely. So the government now have put various things in place to control this. The pilot license is one of them. So yeah, I mean, not all countries have caught up with this, but it definitely something to keep in mind that yeah, you might be thinking all the positive use cases, but there are negative use cases as well. So be mindful of other people are being negative, using it negatively towards you or towards others, and just beware and also take necessary actions if you see something that is wrong. Um, but yeah, definitely keep in mind and also keep with the technology. I mean, if viewers and listeners, if one of you are thinking of any of you are thinking about creating a career out of it, as a drone pilot, then maybe you want to get the license as soon as it is available in your country. Or if it is available, then yes, definitely do get the license and get the necessary qualification. I think nowadays there are training programs as well, and etc. So you get necessary qualifications and all kinds of things. So yeah, get all of those. That way you are a licensed and actually qualified person to operate drones and all the power that it brings.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was reading somewhere. I think I saw a video as well. That DJI, they have launched a drone in such a size that you actually don't need a license to fly it, because it's of a particular size. So there are size restrictions. So based on the size of the drone, you need to decide which license to get as well. So if it's below a certain size, then you don't need a license. So a lot of people who are drone racers, they create their own small drones that just last for
Hmm.
their batteries just last for 10 minutes, which are good, which is good enough for a race, and they replace the battery pack for the next race. So for those cases, those use cases which are operated in a indoor and closed environment, controlled environment, I think you won't need a drone license. But if you carry a drone in your backpack to a different location where the law suggests that you need a license, then you need to definitely get a license to operate it. So yeah. So think about it. The applications are very interesting, and the some people take very incredible videos with drones, because now you can take videos from so many amazing angles that you cannot even think of. You can take a spiral angle, you can take a double helix loop around a building.
Mhm.
You can do so many crazy. You can do a 360 degree loop around a person. And
Mhm.
previously you could not capture the whole body because you would see the camera ring, but now with a drone, you can take
Mhm.
the whole 360-degree view of a human or any other object.
Mhm.
So it's incredible, and I want our audience to actually start experimenting with these technologies, because it will help them to grow and understand the various things like radio, how radio works, how Raspberry Pi works, how the flight system or flight control software works. Remember, the software itself is open source, so you can quickly Google. We will try to mention some URLs where you can actually download flight control software for drones and how to build a drone yourself.
Yes, yes, absolutely, and it's definitely a cool project to do. And so many things, you learn so many things doing it. So definitely encourage the audience to do one of these.
So that's it.
Great. Yeah, yeah, no, we covered a lot of aspects of drone. I'll tell us the audience, if you guys have any questions about this topic or any of the topics that we covered in the past, reach out to us, ask us questions, and tell us the future topics that you would like us to talk about. Um, yeah, this uh,
I
yeah.
just want to add, something. So people who have been listening to us for this long, so first of all, a big thanks from both of us. We are really happy to know that you have been listening to our talks and you find them useful. And the whole idea behind the podcast is basically that give information in as simple way as possible, and help people understand these complex topics. I mean, we don't have to get inside how a microcontroller works. I mean, it's very difficult to explain that using just your voice. So it's easy for us to tell us, okay, you need a microcontroller, and these are the applications. Now you can develop on that. So the whole idea for our podcast is to have a casual conversation about a topic that might interest people. So yeah.
Yes, a- absolutely. And yeah, I mean, as Amit, as you said, like, we can't get into too much technical details with just our voice, because, we would need to probably demonstrate, solve equations or demonstrate something physically, that this is working like this way or things like that, or some sort of visual animation, things like that. So for that, because of that, in podcast we can only cover topics which which is in only cover part of aspects of topics where we can just talk about it rather than going into details of the mechanics where we need to show some animation or solve equation or give you some sort of mathematical problems, etc. So anything that we can talk about and explain very well, those are the topics that we usually go with.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And for the people who listen to our podcast, if you go to our website, then you can actually see some links, link tree links, which will take you to our YouTube channels where you can actually watch the video, and the video has a lot of description links. So whatever we discuss during our talk, we actually try to back that up with some URLs and some things that which we feel would be useful to our audience, so you can actually get access to them as well. It's very important for us that you have access to those information as well. So thank you again so much for tuning in this week and listening to our podcast. You have been a great support for both of us, and we are really grateful.
Thank you very much, guys.